No, not all mistakes are equally important. And what you want to do is focus first on those that affect your communication. Hello, this is Cerasela from FluencyRoutine, and in today's video lesson I would like to share with you 15 most common mistakes English learners make. But not just any kind of mistakes. I have specifically selected only those mistakes that can make a difference to your communication. There are 5 on grammar, 5 on vocabulary, and 5 on pronunciation. Get these right and you will avoid many misunderstandings and sometimes embarrassing situations. But before we start, you know that my focus here is to help you go from knowing English to actually being able to speak English spontaneously in real life situations. And watching videos passively will not help you with that. So what I would like you to do today is get some post-it notes and write down an example for each kind of mistake that you think you might make. And I will then tell you how to use these post-it notes so that you can consolidate correct language and therefore be able to use it spontaneously, effortlessly in real life situations under pressure. So let's get started. First, the grammar mistakes. Can you tell the difference between the following sentences? We two have worked together. And we two have worked together for 5 years now. In which situation I am still working with that person? We've worked together for 5 years now. If I add the time introduced by for 5 years, for 10 years, or since 2015, since February, I make this action an ongoing action that started in the past and is continuing in the present. Whereas if I just say, we two have worked together, full stop, this is a past action, but because I'm not focusing on the time, I'm just focusing on the experience, on the action itself, I use we have worked instead of we worked. So to recap, we have worked together, it's a past action, and the focus is on the experience, not on the time. We have worked together for 5 years. It's a past and present action. It's an ongoing action. Started in the past and is continuing in the present. So just by adding that time reference introduced by for or since, I change the meaning of the sentence completely. I turn a past action into a past and present action, ongoing action. Can you tell me what's the answer to the following 3 questions? How's your colleague? What's your colleague like? What does your colleague look like? To the first question, how's your colleague? You might say, he's fine. To the second question, what's your colleague like? He's a good colleague overall, although sometimes can be a bit annoying. So you describe your colleague. You describe his or her character, personality. And to the third question, what does your colleague look like? You are going to describe that person physically. Tall, short, etc. So do not get mixed up between how are you? I'm fine. And what are you like? I am patient, etc., etc. Very often, English learners get this wrong. When they want to know what something is like, they say, how is that thing? Instead, what you want to ask is, what's it like? What's it like? Not how is it, but what is it like? What's it like? What's it like? What's your house like? What's your job like? Interesting, challenging, rewarding. What's it like? Now, can you tell the difference between these 2 meanings of may? May I call you this afternoon? And I may call you this afternoon. Well, when you use may in a question, you are actually asking for permission. May I do this? May I call you this afternoon? May I help you? When I use may in a statement, I am expressing possibility, the same as might. I may call you, I might call you, or maybe I will call you. All of these three sentences mean the same thing. If you want to make a request, you do not say, may you help me, but you say, can you help me? Can you help me, please? Can you call me later? I'm a bit busy right now. So do not get mixed up between the two meanings of may I, permission. I may do it, possibility. And then asking for permission, may I do this, with making a request. Can you do this? Could you do this? Now, what's the difference between these two sentences? Shall I call you later? And I shall call you later. Well, in the first one, when I use shall I, so a question, shall I am either making a suggestion using a question form, or I am asking for confirmation. These are the two meanings of shall I or shall we. And on the other hand, shall in a statement, it means will, the future. I shall call you this evening. I will call you this evening. Now, what's the difference between these two sentences? Is the meaning of must the same in these two sentences? You must repeat out loud many times if you want to improve your fluency. And you must have repeated a lot out loud. Your English is amazing. You must repeat, you must have repeated. Must in the present is obligation. You must do this. The same as you have to do this. Whereas in the past, if I want to express obligation in the past, I cannot use must. I have to use the past of have to. You had to repeat obligation. Whereas if I say you must have repeated many times, your English is amazing. I am almost certain that you have repeated many times. So I express this almost certainty with must have repeated. You must have done it many times. It is the same as saying I am sure you have repeated many times. You must have repeated many times. So do not get must do mixed up with must have done. Obligation, almost certainty. So now if you have written an example for those kind of mistakes that you might make, how do you use them? Well, on one side you write the English, and on the other side you should write the equivalent into your own language. And put these post-it notes around your house, and whenever you see one of these post-it notes, say them out loud. Put them into a short sentence that you would say in a real-life situation, and repeat it out loud. Remember, as always, I keep saying that your repetition has to be focused and intentional, meaning that it doesn't have to be mechanic. Don't just repeat for the sake of repeating, remind me, remind me, remind me. No, you need to imagine yourself saying that in a real life situation, and say it with the real intonation and intention. Can you remind me your name, please? Could you please remind me your name? That would be an example, but you can think of other examples and imagine yourself saying that thing in reality. So that was it for today. Thank you for watching. I hope this was useful. As always, take care, and most importantly, take action. You cannot become fluent if you do not practice actively. Actively means that you have to repeat a lot, think a lot, and most importantly, repeat out loud a lot. So do that, and I'll see you in the next video lesson.